Welcome. Hi everybody, how you doing? It's time to putz around in Trainz Sim 12. I kind of strongly hinted that I was going to do it today, I guess, while I was streaming Derail Valley yesterday. What time is it? 3:30. Started a couple hours later than I wanted to, probably. I was putzing around in here for a little while before I started the stream, too, because I wanted to try to remember at least a little bit of the basics of how to move around and stuff in here. But yeah, so I'm gonna start out by okay, line ahead is clear for one block, thank you for that. I'm gonna start out by showing off the map, like how far I've made it so far working on it. And I started working on this, I don't even remember how many years ago I started working on this now, but I managed to save. I thought I lost everything actually when my hard drive died. Well, no, my hard drive never died. I reformatted once. I thought I lost everything then, but I did save it on my external hard drive. And then I did manage to get it on my new hard drive when I rebuilt the computer last year. I managed to do that right before that external hard drive died. So yeah, I was very close to losing this, but I didn't. So I'm just gonna give people a couple extra minutes to get here, maybe. Of course, I didn't give anybody any kind of notice as usual. I guess I can bring that back up. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do besides show off everything that I've built so far yet. I might just run a train from one end to the other. Maybe I haven't written any kind of scenarios or anything like that yet. I don't really know how to do that. Really? I never really figured that out. I don't know if I'm gonna work up at the end of the line at all and start doing more track work and ground leveling and stuff. That can be kind of boring, and I don't really have a good idea of how Summitville is laid out, and I don't have a reference map for that or anything. I used to have a book that detailed all the different station stops and yards and stuff like that. That gave you a really nice map, but I don't have it anymore. It went with the flood with Hurricane Irene. So yeah, I used to have 2 copies of that book too, but one of them I think was in the garage and went with the flood, and the other one I think never made it to this house. So a lot of that's on me, but yeah, that sucked. Actually, the one that was in the flood, I think I saved it. I remember having that book still, and the pages were all wavy and crap because it got wet. So I don't know where that book is now. If I dug around, there's a coffee table, or I think there's a box of books down cellar somewhere that used to be under the coffee table, but Mom decided she had to clear out space under there so that she could just put a bunch of other crap under there. So yeah, we'll see. Check Discord real quick and see who's on. Yeah, nobody's really around today. Oh, whatever. There's always the VOD. Oh, I shouldn't leave Discord on that page. Just want Microsoft Sam talking to us. There we go. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. So first, we're gonna start here at Cornwall. This is where one terminus, the southern terminus of the O&W, Ontario Western Rail, New York Ontario Western Railway. That's what O&W stands for, actually. Let's see, there's the O&W logo on the tenders here. New York O&W Railway. Got a nice camelback. O&W had a lot of camelbacks. Unfortunately, this is pretty much the only camelback model in the game, as far as I could tell. I think it's a free download from... Oh, I don't even remember where I got this. There's a content manager with Trainz 12, and you can just search up all sorts of stuff. Actually, that's one of the reasons why I didn't start as early as I wanted to. I found a couple of little things that I didn't have yet. I think I didn't have yet anyway on Content Manager, and I was downloading that. And anything you download on Content Manager takes forever. It's like, 1 kilobit a second or something like that. It just takes forever. So even if you're just downloading a couple of things, it'll take a long time. And what was I gonna say? So like if you look at my Steam profile and you look at how many hours I've played of this game, Train Simulator 12, it's probably one of the highest hour counts of any game on my Steam. But it's all lies, because it counts all the time that you have that content manager up downloading stuff as part of your hours playing the game. Even though you're not playing the game, you're just downloading stuff. And I've had that content manager up like in the background downloading stuff for like days at a time, because it takes so long to download stuff. And on top of that, you have a limit of how much you can download. Hi there, Scissors, how you doing? Here's Trainz 12 in all its glory. Now, so this is a map that I built from scratch. It's the very beginning of it. Actually, it's really silly that I have just the edge of the world here. I need to add another land plane and, just figure something out. But, O&W Railway, this is Cornwall, New York yard. And what I learned, unfortunately, after I built all of this, is that I built all of this section here way too small. Like, I crammed it into this one area, and this should be a lot bigger, actually, because this was a huge yard, their main interchange. This is the southern end of terminus of the O&W, and then this double track main line here, which I don't really know what to do with, because I don't want to build this main line too. How big is this map gonna be? But this is the west shore line of the Hudson River. This big body of water here is Hudson River. West shore line, which pretty quickly became New York Central West Shore Line. I think they let it still be called West Shore Line, but it was part of New York Central pretty early on. They took it over. And so that's actually the big main line. But the focus of this map is the O&W. So that's all of this yard, and then heading out this way. And I think I built this relatively accurate, kind of, question mark. The coal dock here that goes up a big trestle, then out to the ships here. It's only one track, and this was a real pain in the ass to set up. If I remember correctly, the trestle that I used here, this trestle model, didn't have the rails built into it. So I put in the trestle model, and then I had to try to line up the rails on top of the trestle model. Yeah, you can see where it kind of clips through a little bit here and there, and it's not really lined up perfectly. That was a huge pain in the ass. I'm sure if I tried to do this again, I would figure out a much better way to do this. And then I put this like big abutment here, I think, to hide something with this. But yeah. But anyway, this, instead of just being one track out to this dock, these docks should be like, I want to say at least 3 tracks, and with little switches and little sidings so that you can shuffle the cars around to pick which one dumps off onto the boats, basically. But this is the way I built it, and it's too late to fix it, basically. Actually, I found, after I already made this, I found that somebody else made a module. Like, each section of the map you can break into modules. They made a module of just this Cornwall area. And he probably built it a lot more accurately than I did, but it was too late. I already built mine. So here's the big O&W main line, which, you know, really wasn't that big. And then I decided to make it all double track. In reality, at the peak of the O&W, for a little while, it was double track, but the peak of the O&W didn't last very long. By, you know, Great Depression really slammed them, and then they were losing coal and milk traffic anyway, so then they went back down to single track. But for the purpose of this map, I just made it double track. What are these, like, speed limit signs? Yeah. I'm in the editor right now, if you couldn't tell, but yeah. So yeah, we've got, I think this is Route 9W this would be. This is the west side of the Hudson. So that's Cornwall, New York, which is pretty much sea level, and then you have to work your way up. Let's see, I did a lot of terrain work, and figuring out this Mudna Creek was pretty tricky too. I don't know why this is called a creek. It's pretty big for a creek, but that's what it is, Mudna Creek. And then this here would be Firthcliffe, New York, we're coming up on, which in modern times, this is just considered outskirts of Cornwall, New York, really. It's nobody really calls it Firthcliffe, this area, I think. But, and this is the generic building that I didn't make, all of these buildings here. This was a big Firth carpet factory, and huge factory complex. This doesn't really even, the scale really isn't right on this. And the O&W had spur going down with probably more than one siding and serviced that. And this factory complex, only recently, maybe within the last 10, 12 years or so, the whole thing burned to the ground. Damn shame. It survived until then, with some other businesses in it. It wasn't Firth Carpet anymore, but there were some businesses in it. Then over here we have, on the main line, this is Firthcliffe Station. And I built this station. You'll see this style a few times here and there. I built this in Google SketchUp. Any model that I built, it's Google SketchUp. That's the only thing I know how to use. I don't know how to use Blender. Even though most people use Blender, I don't know how to. Actually, I found a picture of the old sign from the Firthcliffe Station, and I put that right on the sign in here. Kind of works. Apparently there was a cattle yard in Firthcliffe, and I know there was coal hopper and stuff like that. What do you call this? Not a trestle, but bunker, I guess. Coal bunker. And then just after Firthcliffe is the Ores Mills Trestle, the first of many trestles and/or tunnels on the O&W. It's a straight trestle. It's I think I got the length about right. I think it's around 800 feet long, somewhere around there. This is the Mudna Creek, which we've been following all this time. You can tell how much we've worked our way up because we started basically at sea level. And O&W is all about hills and mountains and stuff too. Actually, this earlier section of the railroad is kind of flattish, but that's gonna end soon. There's a little Ores Mills station. O&W was well known for not really going anywhere in particular. Like all little stops that kind of missed all of the major stops. This is an Erie branch crossover here, Erie Railroad branch. And this is another Erie Railroad branch here. There was Newburgh Shortcut and Newburgh Branch. Actually, they had two branches. They're all gone now. The main line's even gone now. Just the Graham line is left. This is Meadowbrook we're coming up on. Another station that I built. It's a little bit different than Firthcliffe. It's always going to be the same color scheme though, the green and yellowish. Best I got to. By the way, this railroad, O&W Railroad, part of the challenge of trying to make all of this is none of it exists anymore. The railroad went out of business in 1957. So, except for like the tracks that go through Middletown, New York, and there's some of the tracks that go up into Oswego or around Fulton, New York, somewhere's around there, that is still active as part of another railroad. But other than that, everything's been ripped up. Most of the stations are all torn down, so it's all like historical photographs and stuff that I have to go by. And yes, for some reason, Meadowbrook Road, I guess originally it was just this road that crossed at grade, and then they built the bridge. And as you can see, I'm pretty good with making the tracks and stations and stuff, but I'm pretty clueless when it comes to scenery. It's all just kind of blank land for the most part. And eventually what I gotta do is I kind of started it back in... Well, I'm not going to go back to Cornwall. So maybe I can go there quicker. Yeah. Oh. But what I gotta do is what I kind of started a little bit here. It's just add a lot of trees and stuff, really. Because it's just kind of barren. But I kind of don't want to hide all of the terrain work that I've done too, so it's kind of catch-22, I don't know. Okay, let's go back to Meadowbrook. 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 North. Yes. Okay, what we got next? Yeah, I don't remember how many years ago I started this map, but it's been a long time in the making. Oh, there's actually Erie Railroad cameo way back there in the distance. This is, I think that's the Graham line back there. Yeah. I do believe that's the Graham line. I've got some... Basically, I kind of picked and choose from the content manager, the ones that would make the most sense with the O&W. So I've got the one and only Camelback that I've ever found, an 060 Camelback, which is pretty nice. I wish there were other Camelbacks, but that one's pretty nice. This is, what is this, Little Britain? Yep. I actually added a fancy passenger platform here, which was probably a little bit too fancy for this railroad, especially Little Britain. But I've got that. I've got I made sure to get O&W skins that somebody else made for EMD FTs and F3s, because that's what they had when they dieselized, and W2s. I don't think I had to make any skins. I can't remember now if I made any skins. No, I think I found them on Content Manager. Somebody else made them, I'm pretty sure. And so we got the diesels. We got some 44 tonners. I don't think I have a 44 tonner in the gray O&W skin, which is unfortunate. Maybe I have to make a skin for that. I should try that sometime. This is Rock Tavern, which is, nowadays, this area is just nothing. This is Route 20, not 209, 207. Like, this is all just like return to nature, wooded areas, basically. And then this road has, you know, houses and stuff on it, but this whole little area here, there was a little station, and I think there was a post office and stuff here. That's all long gone. When I get to Middletown, I can show off some of the engines that I have. This is a siding, a long siding that goes down to Borden's Creamery. down here. This is the intersection of 207 and 208. It's 208 north, 208 south. Just in case anybody ever looks at this and is actually from the area. Nowadays, this road is still here, these roads are still here, and you can see a nice little waterfall here, so I made sure to make that. But, of course, the creamery is long gone with the rail going to it. All these creameries that used to exist, they're all gone now because milk stuff all changed to truck traffic, and there's, you know, refrigeration technology got better, so you didn't have to keep turning the milk into butter and cheese right away before it would spoil, that kind of thing. This is Burnside. I do believe this is Burnside, yep. Once again, same basic style, but a little bit, each one of these stations is maybe a little bit different than the other, but it's the same style. If that makes any sense. And I made them in Google SketchUp. And the game is trying to freeze up and crash. That's I think it must auto save. That must be what it's at. And Burnside, the O&W here, interchanged with Lehigh and Hudson River Railroad, or at least there was just this one little Y so that they could get on and off the O&W here. An interlocking tower for it because there were diamonds here. And this line, this Lehigh and Hudson River line that went from I think Warwick coming up, and then it goes up and joins in at Maybrook. This particular line here only got ripped up probably maybe like 10 years ago or so, because it was just considered extra. Basically, there used to be a lot of different railroads in the same area, and now there's only like one for the most part. So yeah, a lot of the lines were just considered redundant and ripped up. And let's see. And as much as I like running the steam engine in Derail Valley, by the way, in this game I've barely really run Trainz much. All of the time playing this game is pretty much just working on the maps, which is kind of silly, but whatever. Okay, now here, where the grass changes to a different color and all of a sudden we have the scenery with the trees and stuff, this is a module that somebody else made that I found on the content manager, and I just integrated it into my map. I did a little bit of fiddling with it, but for most part it's all what he made. This is Campbell Hall, New York area. This is the O&W main line, north-south here. Ended up being Erie, but maybe at this time might have been I think LNE, Lehigh, New England, ran on it too, but it was Erie Wachell Valley line. Okay, and also the big thing is this branch here is the terminus of the New Haven Railroad, which mostly ran in Connecticut and parts further north into New England. But this is where it came in and interchanged with O&W and stuff. But going up this way, though, off the map, would be Maybrook. And that was the big major interchange. Maybrook was a huge like classification yard where like 5 different railroads all interchanged with each other. But O&W would run up this branch here to interchange with them. Hi there, Burn. How you doing? That's okay. This is Campbell Hall, New York. Welcome. So yeah, I did not make this whole section where the grass is a little bit lighter and there's actual scenery with the trees and stuff. I did not make this section. I think maybe I played with the terrain a bit. Yeah, it was probably perfectly flat when I first got this module, and I fiddled with it a bit. But for the most part, I did not make anything on this section. It's just kind of a shortcut. And the same guy that made this also made the Cornwall module, but like I said in the beginning, it was too late when I found that. I already made my own thing, so I wasn't going to scrap what I made. Start over basically with his module. No Steam cards. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, and if you could get the cards, that would be like a nice gift because at least you're giving them something physical. And I know you like physical copies of games and stuff, so that would be nice. Oh, it sucks. So let's see. So now we're leaving Cornwall, and here the O&W crosses underneath. This is the Erie Graham line. And that's important because nowadays, in modern times, this double track main line, actually a lot of it's even single track, that's the only railroad that really exists anymore, at least in this general area that I've covered so far. Everything else is gone as far as the railroads is concerned. So this Erie Graham line is everything, and nowadays it's Norfolk Southern / Metro North. But the M&NJ, little M&NJ short line, has taken up a lot of slack work. Actually, they get to run on the Graham line, and they get to go to, because they run all of the little branches off of the main line, because Norfolk Southern, I guess, doesn't want to do it anymore. Whatever, more work for the short line. This is like a little kind of swampy area. I tried to make it look like a swamp anyway. The water run through some pipes. And this is Route 207 still. This is, I think, 416. This one, if you went up this way, would go up to Montgomery. Not that anybody watching right now knows what I'm talking about with these different towns, but this overpass here with the road going through it is still like that. It's concrete, it's not brick, but this is just the model that I used. Because yeah, this is the railroad that still exists. I think it's might be 3 tracks here, maybe even 4, because this is Campbell Hall Yard nowadays, which is the last remnant of all the big freight yards that used to be around here. Like there is, Maybrook is just one little branch line now. There's no big yard anymore. Nice little bridge. I don't remember what river this is off the top of my head. It's probably a label if I checked it, but I'm not gonna dilly-dally that long. And this is, I believe, Stony Ford. It was coming to me. This is just a generic station that I found on the Content Creator. I wouldn't really try to make Stony Ford station like in SketchUp because I don't know what it looked like. I don't think I can find any real pictures of it. I think this is a track that you can load and unload dairy stuff off. Yeah, there was a milk station here. Well, almost every regular station on the line was also a milk station. That was the main freight of the O&W for a while, was milk and coal. And unfortunately, both of those things went the way of the dodo bird as far as railroad traffic was concerned. Well, not coal so much, but O&W delivered coal to a lot of places, which then sold it for like heating, for home heating, and of course nobody heats their house with coal anymore. Here's Crystal Run Station that I built in SketchUp. This one might be a direct copy of Meadowbrook. I know 2 of these stations are pretty much a direct copy, and the other ones have slight modifications. And so Crystal Run Station, and this would be Crystal Run Road, and this would be Goshen Turnpike. Actually, this is Crystal Run Road. This is Crotty Road. Yeah. Just in case I get somebody who's actually local to the area that wants to look at this sometime. This area is a little silly because what I did, I built this. Well, I didn't make this model, but I put this cement plant here to kind of a placeholder for Tetz concrete, because nowadays, in modern days, this is where Tetz Concrete is. But the thing is, back in the day, when the railroad was actually down and running, there was no such thing as Tetz Concrete here. So it's a little silly, but I figured, you know what? Railroads service concrete plants anyway, so why not? So I'm guessing this is probably a coal bin here that you can unload and load coal from. Probably just unload, which would make sense. And then, I don't know if you can load stuff here. Oh yeah, you can. That's supposed to be like for the concrete stuff, I don't know. I'm trying to remember what I did with all these things, because this was a long time ago when I built all of this. So next we have Mechanicstown Station. And this station actually, this is Dunning Road. We're almost in Middletown. And this station actually survived a long time because a restaurant moved into this probably in the, I think 1980s. And what they did, I guess the foundation must have been in rough shape. They actually jacked up the whole building and rotated it 90 degrees so the front of the building would face the road, and put it on a new foundation around here. And then they built a big addition to it also, and they made it Rusty Nail Restaurant. And the sad thing about that was the restaurant was all on the first floor, and then the second floor and up, I found some pictures online of somebody that went into this building after it was abandoned, and they found like a ladder to get up to the upstairs. And the upstairs, when they remodeled all the downstairs and everything for Rusty Nail, they never touched the upstairs area. So the upstairs was almost like a time capsule, and the upstairs area was really just like an old house, because that's the way all these stations were. The downstairs was the train station, the upstairs is where the station master and his family lived. That's the way they kind of set it up back then. So it was kind of really neat that I found pictures of that. But sadly, this whole building, Rusty Nail Restaurant, about 2-3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, whole building burned to the ground. And it was arson. It was empty for like 10-15 years before that, because the Rusty Nail Restaurant went the way of a lot of restaurants in the area. They took out some big loans, I think, to try to modernize and really show off and whatever, and they didn't make enough money to pay off the loans, so they defaulted and went out of business. And then nothing else happened with the station because Rusty Nail probably owed tons and tons of money on it. So it was like, foreclosure limbo nonsense, and then somebody came around and lit it on fire. A lot of people are speculating that a local developer, well, actually, they didn't really specify which local developer, but some developer paid off somebody to burn it down because they want to build a hotel in the area. Very possible. You know what? I'm going to switch this from game capture. Nope, wrong one. I'm going to switch this from game capture to monitor capture, I think. Let me just copy this. And the reason why I want to do that is because I want to be able to drag in pictures or whatever on the fly. No? Oh, come on, what was that? No, that was main cam. No. I clicked the wrong thing. Because I'm blind. Main monitor. There we go. That's pretty good, I think. There. Yeah, well, it's all local stuff, so I guess that's why, and I'm always big into train stuff. So I want to right now show off a picture of the rusty nail, don't I? Let me see. That's the whole reason why I did this. I know I have a picture of it that was in the paper of when it was on fire too, which is sad, but you know, whatever. Also, what I referenced a lot sometimes was models that people have made. There's a couple here, but I don't want to show them off. Oh, here's Crystal Run that somebody made. So that's one thing that I referenced a lot when making my Crystal Run station. That's where I got the idea of the yellow and green color scheme too. Because of course all the pictures from back then are all black and white. And that station's very similar to this one. Let's see. Cadosia. I think I would have prepared this stuff, but no, I didn't. Hey, there's Mechanicstown Station, which became the Rusty Nail Restaurant. They spruced it up. They made it like it was not quite this pinkish looking in color, but you know. Actually, you know, I read somewhere that they jacked the building up off the foundation, rotated it 90 degrees, and put it on the new foundation. But if this picture is taken from the street, it's still rotated the correct way because the railroad tracks would have ran right alongside on the right side here. I don't know, whatever. That might have been a different station that was that was rotated. But yeah, that's what it looked like when it was abandoned. And it was abandoned like this for a long time, you know, always with for sale signs and stuff. And this is the addition they added on for the restaurant stuff. But it just stayed empty until somebody torched it. Unfortunately. Let's see. Let's get... did I change something? I don't think I left-clicked instead of right-clicked. I think it's okay. Now, Mechanicstown. Now we're heading up into Middletown. This is probably East Main Street. Yeah. I need to add a lot more scenery and stuff. And actually, what needs to happen down here at East Main Street, around here, needs to be what's nowadays C.R. Wolf, but used to be the power plant slash... Actually, there should probably be a siding from the O&W. Slash maybe like headquarters for maintenance of the trolleys. Because Middletown, New York used to have an extensive trolley system going through the whole town. This is where they like kept the trolleys and worked on them, and also I think the powerhouse was here for it. That's still being used as C.R. Wolf nowadays, which is a furnace company. So I need to do that sometime. So we're rounding this bend. The O&W isn't straight too often. This is Big Bend here, coming into Middletown, and here Middletown's a really big railroad town. Nowadays there's just one little short line running it, but back in the day, there was 3 railroads in Middletown. And this is just for reference for people, just in case I do get some locals to watch. This is Chedung Street. That didn't work out quite like it should have because Chedung Street doesn't really curve like this. It's really pretty straight. So I kind of goofed a little bit here, but it's okay. And this is Phillips Street, I want to say, and this is a little dead-end road. And let's see, over here would be nowadays Orange and Rockland Utilities, the power company. And this is the reason why I'm showing this off is this here, the Erie Main Line coming into Middletown. is nowadays it's called the Heritage Trail. It's a walking slash bike path trail from rails to trail. Used to end in Goshen, but they're finally extending it into Middletown. And it was in the news recently where they showed like a fancy like sidewalk and path where they're just starting to make it nice where it crosses under the M&J here. So that's why I'm kind of showing that off. So this little line here, this little like overgrown grass line here that looks like it's seen better days, that is actually the only tracks left in Middletown. This little thing here, everything else is gone, tracks wise. So this is the little M&J railroad, and that's the little short line that I actually worked on for like a year and a half or so, like 10 years ago plus. We actually ran down here, and then this is Dulcin Avenue, and branching off here, which I didn't even build yet, but branching off here, this is like a steep 2+% grade, by the way. And branching off here and curving down and running kind of alongside here a bit is the siding going into Gempack, which belongs right around here, which was the only real customer of the M&J when I was working there. Because this area here used to be GLF feed mill, and then when GLF burned down, eventually Agway was built in the same place. This song, you know what, I don't like. And this was another customer of M&J, but Agway went out of business, I want to say very early 2000s. So that was a lost customer for them. Actually, I think even before they went out of business, the railroad wasn't really delivering to them anymore. Agway also had a little fertilizer plant over here. The M&J did service for a little while anyway. And this is just a dead end here. They still call it the fertilizer track. And actually, nowadays, modern days, there's the fertilizer plant all burned down too. But there's a little transload facility. So M&J gets a little bit of business bringing in a car or two of, I think, soybeans or potatoes from local farmers, maybe. And they either load or unload it here. It either comes off of I think they load it here, probably, to go on the system. So this hasn't connected up to the main line in a long time, but yeah. So yeah, this is M&J. This was called... Now, how closely was I able to replicate this? Not too well. Well, kind of. But this was called the puzzle switch here. Because there was like a little warehouse that you could serve. Basically, there was a bunch of switches so that you could service just this or just that without having to deal with it. And then like a run around this way. It was a lot more complicated than it needed to be. But when I first started working on the M&J Railroad, this was 2000... I want to say early 2006? Maybe like spring of 2006. Agway just got torn down. Actually, they saved one little part of Agway. And they moved it off the foundation and rotated it 90 degrees, and it became Rita's like ice cream shop or something. But anyway, all of these sidings and stuff were technically owned by Agway. But the developers that were, tearing everything down and flattening stuff out and stuff told the railroad guys, hey, you can come here and whatever rails that you want to salvage out of here, you can just take away. Which was nice of them. Technically, they owned it, but they let us take it all. So some of it we could save, and some of it we couldn't. The puzzle switch kind of got pretty torn up. I don't know if any of that really got saved, but that was like a big deal. People were like, "Oh, you got to save the puzzle switch." It was buried under like a foot of dirt. But yeah, but that was my first job working on the railroad, came in, and Harold, I got Harold's truck. Harold was my boss, and he drove me down to Dulcin Avenue and said, we're gonna take apart some rails and try to, and we were able to save a bunch of these rails. Some were way too far gone, but some of them we were able to save, and that was a fun experience trying to take the track bolts out, and then of course everything was rusted to hell. So you try to turn the nut off the bolt, and the head end of the bolt was too rusted, so the whole thing would turn. And then we had he rented this demo saw, which is like a big handheld gas powered circular saw thing. You try to cut through the bolts with that, which was a pain in the ass. And then a lot of times we ended up getting a my job was holding a chisel on like a 2-foot handle, and then one of the other guys would swing a big sledgehammer kind of close to my head and hitting the chisel to try to break through the freaking track bolts. That was a fun first day on the job, and I was hooked from then. I was like, "Yep, this is what I want to do: work on the railroad." Oh Lord. Safety wasn't always the highest thing. I don't know. You do what you got to do, I guess. Okay, let's get back to the OW. I knew once I got to Middletown, I would just start telling stories, but that's the way it goes. Okay, here's M&NJ. This was a coal gas plant where they actually, I don't really understand the specifics of it, but they burned coal in a way to get, like, is it like natural gas or something? I guess they got gas to like run into the power plant or something, and then it also had like tar as a byproduct, I think. But that went the way of the dodo bird a long time ago, but I put it in just as a place that you could go on the M&NJ. Yeah, coal gas plant. And so this line here is M&NJ, and this double track here is O&W, and yes, they ran right next to each other in this section. And I made a coal tipple for M&NJ, which they did used to have here. This was specifically to fill up the M&NJ steam engines. This is Washington Street. Nowadays, Delford Rubber would be here. Let's see. And this is the yard that I kind of worked at a lot on the M&NJ. This is what we called the coach track, because back in the day, even though this was part of the M&NJ, they worked out some kind of agreement with the Erie down here to let them park their passenger coaches on this track, I guess, from one day to the next. Maybe for trains that just started in Middletown heading down towards the city, that type of thing. And yeah, there was a water tower, there used to be a little turntable, and an engine house. Nowadays this is different, but yeah, this is the way it was back then. All tucked in next to the O&W. And then this would be, hold on. This is Houston Street. This is Washington Street. I might have screwed that up. This is Washington. This is Houston. Sometimes the mouse gets locked, if that makes any sense. And this used to be a little engine house. Now there's actually kind of a big 2-bay engine house here that was built in like the 80s, I want to say. They got like a state grant to build it. This is Sprague. And that's the Erie main line down here, which is becoming the Heritage Trail as I speak. And this... Actually, back in the day, I don't know if there was an engine house here, but later on there definitely was, and that's where the number 2, the 44-tonner, used to live, in a little engine house here. And I had a lot of fun. Like, I learned how to start it and stuff. And unfortunately, the number 2, I think, it still exists somewhere. The number 1 44-tonner just recently got scrapped. I've told the story of that before, but long story short, they kept it in the steam engine house, and the steam engine house wasn't too well secured, and some scrappers broke into the engine house and actually stole all the copper winding out of the traction motors of the number 1. which already had some damage anyway, so I guess they just scrapped it this past year. This is the M&J station here in Middletown. It still stands, and it's still technically part of the railroad, although I don't think they use it anymore. I built this in Google SketchUp here. Actually, I have a picture of it. It doesn't have these longer overhangs anymore with the roof. And, it's not quite as pretty looking as it used to be, but it still stands. It's still functional. And it's very old. It's actually was built in the 1860s, I believe. See if I have any pictures of that. And Middletown. Oh, here's another picture of Mechanicstown after it was abandoned. Rusty Nail Restaurant. Avenue Middletown Station. Here's a picture of the station back in the day in black and white. That's where I got the idea for the cupola. That cupola is long gone now, but the station's still there. Let's see. Yeah. There's a bit of a sign here that says Middletown, but it's nowhere near that fancy. Okay. And this picture here is what Middletown Station looks like nowadays. There's no fancy overhangs. There's not much of a... I think there is some kind of sign there. Actually, this is kind of old. This is 2001. Now at least the trim is all white, painted white. It's not quite this rough looking. The windows look better. They're not all boarded up. Well, these ones might still be boarded up. But yeah, this little engine house right there, that's where the number 2 44 tonner used to be. I think that's all the pictures I want to show of that. Yeah, okay. Alright, so that's M&J Station. And the funny thing about all of this is you can see there's so many tracks. There's a double track of O&W, and then M&J had a bunch of different... They had kind of a little yard here crossing, and they had the interchange with the Erie main line here, interchange with the O&W here. They had a little freight house. Out of all of this, the only thing that's left nowadays is the station with the little engine house and one little track going through here crossing East Main Street. That's it. Everything else is gone railroad wise, and no gates. And then let's see, Railroad Avenue. This here, I named the Switch Orange County Plumbing, but that's silly because that's what it is more modern days. Back in the day, I think it was a file company, maybe part of the whole Clemson Brothers complex. But I need to make some big factory buildings and stuff in this general area. That's actually one of the things I was thinking of doing maybe on stream after I show off the line. I don't know. You guys want to see me messing around in Google SketchUp. But yeah. And now we're coming into O&W Middletown Station. Oh, and by the way, also, hold on. This is the Erie main line. Now, I'm not really modeling the Erie, but since it interchanges with the O&W here, I made a point to do it. This is a placeholder for now of not O&W, Middletown Central Firehouse, which is still there and still being used all the time. Bunch of little road crossings here. This is all the Heritage Trail now, or about to be. And this here, I made this in SketchUp. This is the Erie Station in Middletown. This station was built in the early 1900s, I think. I think, what do they call this style? Romanesque? Something like that. And this station still exists nowadays, but it is now the Middletown Public Library. And actually, on this side, instead of it just being a wall, there's like little addition section, and then a big, huge, square, blocky building here. That's the main library. This is just the only thing that's in this old section of the original station is like reading rooms and stuff like that. Yeah, it came out pretty good. This was pretty tricky actually, this build, if I remember correctly. A lot of little details and stuff. And this roof stuff was annoying to say the least. I'm glad that the station was saved and not torn down, but it's kind of annoying that it was made into a library. And not only that it was made into a library, but maybe I can show it to you real quick. It was kind of made into a bit of an abomination of what it originally was, because they built this huge addition onto it for the actual, it's like a 2-story library. And I mean, it's a nice library. It serves the purpose. And we needed a bigger library. The original Thrall library was a bit small in comparison. But that was done in the 1990s. Let's see. Where am I? North Street. Maybe I shouldn't be showing Google Maps on stream, but screw it, I am. This is Depot Street, North Street, Middletown, New York, and this Middletown Thrall. You can see by the roof line the similarities between this and this here. Let's see these. But the thing that's hard to convey to people nowadays, because they only know it as the library, is originally this was the only building right here, and this was all train tracks. But nowadays, go into the street view, they planted so many like little trees and stuff around it, it's a little bit harder to see. But here's the real station here, Erie Railroad. I tried to get the details close-ish, at least. This was a freight house. It's now a used bookstore. But yeah, this is what they built in the 90s. That's the actual real library part of the library, and almost like a kind of a in-between section here. So yeah, it's great that they saved the building, but at the same time, it's got like this giant growth on it of this public library. I mean, they did try to stay with the same style when they built this. You know, they could have made some ugly concrete thing, and they didn't. They stayed with the same style, with the tile roof and everything, the arches for the windows. I give them credit for that. That's pretty good. But yeah. So that's Middletown Erie Railroad Station. And that's the first railroad that came to Middletown, by the way. That railroad was laid down in like 1844. It's that old. And, yeah, used bookstore. So all of this area here used to be this big rail yard. There you go. And did I make this little freight house? No, I think I found this pre-made. Yeah, I didn't make that. So yeah. And then that's the edge of where I was painting and stuff. Because I'm not really trying to model the Erie Railroad so much. It's just because it interchanges with the O&W, I kind of had to do it. So that's Erie. Let's get back in the O&W. I didn't realize I was going to get into this much detail, but I did. Okay, and here is the O&W Middletown Station. It's big behemoth of a station. Biggest station in the entire O&W railroad system, because basically they built it this big because it's all the headquarters of the whole railroad, and the offices and stuff were up in the upper floors. Actually, my grandmother worked up here in the offices back in the day, right up till O&W went out of business in 57, which actually worked out good for her because she was pregnant with my mother at the time. So even though O&W went out of business, she was able to get like maternity leave pay and stuff like that, whatever it was called back then. This is Wickham. And this station actually, back in 2004, had a really bad fire. Started by a bunch of bums trying to keep warm because this whole back half of the building was empty, so the bums would break in and live inside here. And what happens when bums get into an old building or something like that? They destroy it, basically. I hate to sound callous, but that's kind of what bums do. And so they started a fire. It got out of control, and there was a fire that the firemen were able to somehow stop the fire somewhere around here. It started back here. They were able to keep it from going. I think the back third of the building is how they described it. So somewhere between here and here, they stopped the fire. They stopped it from going all the way up to the front. But this whole section is completely gutted. There's no roof anymore. It's basically ruins. And it's been empty ever since that fire in 2004. All this time, there's been some talks. There was like a health clinic that was supposed to take it over and rebuild it. That fell through. Finally, now, the city of Middletown is getting all sorts of funding to rebuild the station. Now, like almost 20 years after the fire. And my neighbor who first told me about it told me, oh, they're rebuilding it all. They're completely restoring it, blah, blah, blah. I find it very hard to believe they're going to save the part that was damaged by the fire from like here back. Because it's literally just brick walls and openness. There's a tree growing in the middle of the building now. Because it's that gutted. No roof. And just left alone for 20 years. So if they manage to actually rebuild this whole back half too, and keep it, 3 floors and everything, I'm going to be very surprised. I'm going to be very happy and very surprised. Nowadays, there's just one track going through here just to get to the Graham line. But yeah, this I built in SketchUp too. This was by far my biggest build in Google SketchUp. And it came out pretty good. I'm not too crazy about the color of the bricks. And I was warned about this by the program that I used to take SketchUp models and put them in the game. It said textures and colors that you put in SketchUp, once they get into Trainz, the game, it's going to get lighter in color. And it did. This brickwork, it's nice, but it's a little bit too light for my taste. The other colors of the bricks is pretty good. Like the roof looks pretty good. This roof is a little too light. Just a little. And this would probably be almost black, really, the flat roof part, but that's not that big of a deal. There used to be, even just before the fire, there used to be actually a few little shops and stuff that you could access from this side. The building was mostly empty, but there was a few little shops and vendors and whatnot that you could go to in like the front half of the building. And up here, I tried my best to model the clock, and I'm realizing now that the texture's messed up because there should be glass here, and for some reason it's just transparent. But actually, what I did is just put a big O&W thing. But what there used to be here was a big clock. And right after the fire, like within a week, somebody, because the front half of the building was unaffected, somebody climbed up here and stole the clock. It was a group of people. It had to have been. It was a huge freaking clock. And the O&W Historical Society and stuff had been pleading, like putting out advertisements and stuff for the past 20 years, trying to say, we don't care who you are or how you got the clock, can you please bring it back? But of course, it's going to be gone forever, I'm sure. But yeah. And this is the Adams Freight building. I'm seriously tempted. Yeah, I know, right? What are you going to do with a giant stolen clock that says O&W? It's very obvious where it came from. Yeah, it's just silly. And it's a big clock. It's hard to tell from the scale, but it's a really big clock. Let me show you, actually, before I move on, pictures of the O&W station in better days. Middletown. Here's one. That picture's crap. This is what it looked like after abandonment. That's the platform roof and stuff. Oh, there's a drawing of how it was originally planned out, I think. It wasn't always fully 3 stories. Actually, this might be a drawing of what somebody wanted to rebuild it like. Like how the back, probably because the back half is kind of missing there. Well, there's the station with a Norfolk Southern train in front of it. But even in this picture, you can kind of see the clocks there. Let's see. Oh, there's the roof somebody took from the inside. There's the clock. There's the inside of the clock, actually, somebody took a picture of. And this is a semaphore signal that was on the platform roof. That also was taken away not long after the fire, but unlike the clock, the guy that took this got permission from the building owner. And he actually... This picture doesn't really serve as just this thing is huge. And he had to get a crane to lift it up off the roof and stuff. But he brought it home, and then he spent I don't know how many thousands of dollars repairing it to make it actually work. And you can't tell from the picture, but all of the guts, all of the like gears and stuff that made the thing work inside was all stripped out. Somebody stole it all. Probably for scrap metal. So he spent like thousands actually going to a foundry and finding the original plans to actually rebuild it and fix it. And this is inside the station still. This is one of the hallways in there. This is before the fire, obviously. This is probably before the fire, actually. This part would look worse. Yeah, this is before the fire. I mean, you know, it wasn't in that great a shape even before the fire, but yeah. Oh, this is the back half of the building. This is where the fire was, so this is the part that's all ruins now. No, that's Harold. that's the M&J station. I should probably... Okay. Oh, there's the Erie station. Okay. So yeah. That's the Middletown station. And this right next to it is the Adams Freight Building, which still exists, and there's some business, I don't remember what the business is that's in here, but this building is still standing, actually. So I was able to model it pretty easily. Well, I mean, the main station I was able to model pretty easily, too, because even after the fire, it's still there to take pictures of and stuff. I guess if you want to get depressed... moment. Oh, I'm not angled the right way. Oh, there's the shops. Hold on. There. This is what the O&W station looks like right now. Very recently, anyway. 2018, apparently. See, the front half was relatively unaffected by the fire. I mean, it's still in really bad shape because it hasn't been touched in many, many years, but it still says O&W Station on the front, which is impressive because it was O&W went out of business in 1957. You can see even, like, the roof has a lot of missing tiles and stuff. Oh god, Hachima. Hachima, you know what? No, we're not doing Hachima cooking right now. And yeah, this is what the station looks like nowadays. Unfortunately, you can see the glass is disappearing and some more like plywood. But I think this section, even I don't think the fire made it quite up far forward. Yeah, this building was originally built in 1880s, and then it was, I don't think it was fully 3 floors until maybe early 1900s, but yeah, it's old. But here's where the fire really was. And you can see this is just, there's nothing left. There's just the brick walls. That's all that's standing. So I gotta believe when they rebuild this, they're finally getting the funding for it 20 years later. I gotta believe probably from here or here back at least, they're gonna knock down. I gotta believe they can't save the whole thing. I mean, look, there's a giant tree growing inside there. I can't believe that's gonna be saved, but maybe, who knows. And this is the Adams Freight Building, which is the next building down. And you can see it's not in amazing condition, but it's still a mountain restaurant, apparently, supply. It's still standing, and it's in a lot better state than the station anyway. So, okay. So yeah, that's that. Now what we're coming up on is the O&W shops and roundhouse / turntable, all that good stuff. Once again, this is probably the biggest piece of infrastructure on the entire O&W Railroad because this was the headquarters base of everything. So we have the roundhouse and turntable in the middle, and right now, nowadays, here would be Raleigh Lumber. Nowadays, there's just one track going up this way. But this over here was the paint shop, where they painted engines and cars and stuff. That building is still existing now. I think it's like a drapery company or something. It's a little engine house here. That building I did not make. I didn't make the turntable, the roundhouse and turntable either, or the big coal dock or whatever you call this. I didn't make that either, but it's very similar to what it really was. It was a 4-track coal dock. But this powerhouse, and I should really get into SketchUp and build the actual powerhouse because it's still standing. It still stands nowadays. I don't know if there's anything in it, but it still stands. It's kind of a pretty less interesting building than this. It's kind of just a big square building, I think. It's not even this big, maybe. But anyway, then over here we have, this is like yard offices and stuff in this building. And then this is just a random shop, I think. This is made, it's like a warehouse of some sort. And all of these buildings, except this little thing and this little thing, everything else I built in Google SketchUp, one piece at a time. This. So we've got the boiler shop here. I think this was a blacksmith shop. And then this was machine shop, I believe. A little sliver here, and then this big one is the erecting shop, or back shops as they called them back in the day. This is the building that had a big giant crane up high that could go up and down throughout the whole building, so they could actually take apart the locomotives and stuff. And all of these buildings here, this whole complex here, survived until last year. More tragedy. Last year, actually, all of these buildings were being used. Hi there, Sturgy. Actually, there were different warehouses and stuff. I think the fight. Basically, long story short, it all burned down last year. I think maybe this building, I'm not sure if this building still exists, but I'm sure this one does, because that was separate enough. But this great big erector shop building was Mickelson's studio, a sound stage and studio. They were making movies in here a little bit. Like, not big name movies, but they were making movies in there in later years. Until it burned down, because apparently over in this area somewhere, I think maybe here, was a warehouse for popcorners. I don't know if you guys have ever eaten popcorners, but they're actually made right here in Middletown. But this was like a warehouse for them. The plant is somewhere else, but the warehouse was here. And the story that I heard is that somebody in a forklift ran into a gas line and broke the gas line and started a fire, or maybe the gas seeped into an area for a little while and then it got into a really bad fire. And since it was fueled by natural gas, it just, and these are all old buildings anyway, it all went up like a box of matches, basically. And you could see the fire from like 100 miles away. It was so bad. So all of this is leveled now. All except, I'm not sure if this building made it. And this building definitely should have. It was separate enough. But this whole complex here is all gone. Damn shame. It's the old O&W shops. And this building, I think, still exists. This was the woodworking shop, I believe. They probably repurposed it into something else later on, even O&W was done using wooden rail cars and passenger cars and stuff like that by, I don't know, by the 40s or 50s, I would think. So they probably used it for something else. And then there was a lumber shed here. So yeah. And believe it or not, this yard, with as big as it is, I think I built this whole complex, like the track stuff and everything, I think I built it a little too small. A little bit, because I'm going to show you, I have a little map. Well, first off, here's an overview of this whole complex area back in the day. I love this picture. This is Wisner Avenue here. So basically this is looking at it from, there's the big back shops here. And, you know, the machine shop, boiler shop, blacksmith shop here, this building here, this building here. There's the turntable and roundhouse. Now that probably got torn down like right after the railroad went out of business. I was old-fashioned by then. They were already dieselized. O&W actually dieselized pretty early. There's the paint shop over here. So in this picture, I think around here would be the powerhouse, which somehow still stands. I don't think there's a smokestack anymore, but the building itself is still there. That's the big coal dock there. That's a water tower, I believe. That's St. Joseph Cemetery. But look how big this freaking yard is. Like, I think I got this side pretty good, except back here. It's just off the bottom of the screen, but that's a car body shop, and that building actually still exists nowadays. But that, I didn't model it in SketchUp, and I didn't really give myself enough room to put it in, because that would be, there's the woodworking shop. The car body shop would have been here. And you can see the lines already coming in. So if I wanted to build that eventually, I'd have to take all of these lines and stretch them out this way even longer. So yeah, that picture that I was just showing is from this angle here. I mean, I'm close. It's not exact, but it's close enough, I think. There's the picture. It's close. It's not quite as big as it should be, the one that I built. I mean, look at all these tracks. And then this whole side of the yard over here is supposed to be like coal storage and stuff, and that I didn't build at all yet. And I think I need to, this over here. I need a bunch of tracks over here for coal yard. That's not even there yet. I don't really know what that part looked like because it's not on that freaking picture, and there's very few pictures of this area. So where else? I have some more pictures of the shops somewhere, I think. Before I move on. How long have I been working on this? I'm gonna guess This is purely a guess because I really don't remember when I started it. At least 5 years, on and off. I haven't touched it in years. I haven't loaded up Train Simulator 12 in at least a year, probably a year and a half. But yeah, on and off, I've worked on it for a long time. And I haven't really done an extensive video or stream or anything of it, so I figured I'd do that today. It's probably getting kind of boring, but whatever. Once I get through Middletown, though, it's going to go a lot quicker. Middletown's where most of my detail ended up. Middletown yard layout. There we go. So here, I don't know how well you guys can see this, but here I found a kind of drawing map of what the yard was originally like. So roundhouse and turntable, erector shop and all the other shops here. And right here it says 15 or 16 tracks this is supposed to be. My version there's like maybe 8. And then I have to build over here. This is the big coal storage area. And see, like, all of these big round things. I don't know what this actually looked like, any of this stuff. That's kind of the problem. That's why I haven't done this yet. But O&W not only transported a lot of coal, anthracite, but they also sold it, you know, for home heating and stuff like that, and other industries that needed coal. That was a lot of their business. So that's why they have such a big coal yard. And that's part of the reason why they went out of business by 1957, because even by the late 50s, people were converting either to oil or gas heat. Nobody wanted to deal with coal furnaces. Although coal is probably, even nowadays, would be cheaper. And anthracite coal especially it's the hardest coal, and it burns very clean, actually. People always say, oh, coal, it's so dirty. I mean, yeah, but anthracite is pretty clean, and that's hard coal. You have to lay it out thinner, though, to burn it effectively. Which is why, back in the day, O&W, because they had all their... They actually owned anthracite coal mines. There goes my pillow. But they had a lot of camelback locomotives, because that was how they originally figured out how to burn anthracite coal effectively. In steam engines, they needed a big wide firebox so that you could lay it out thin. And back then, the only way they figured out how to do that was to move the cab of the engine into the center and make a camelback. Oh, here's some of the engines. I think you're here, scissors. This is that's a 260 Mogul, which actually O&W only had maybe a handful of 260s. They had a lot of engines with no trailing wheels, though. Radio Shack thermostat stand broke. Oh, that sucks. A bunch of little bobber cabooses here. And what else do I have? There's the Camelback. There's another one of the Camel. This is the only Camelback model. You know, I didn't look before the stream, though. I wonder if somebody finally made another Camelback model. I mean, even if they did, it's going to be for newer versions. The problem is this game's old now. It's in 2012. You know, nowadays people that play Trainz would be playing Trainz A New Era. I think that's the newest one. Fun fact, I own that game because it was on sale for like $5 or something. That's 060 Camelback. And then we have... But I own that game, and I was able to... I don't know if the word was convert or import all of my stuff from here, like this whole big map and everything, into Trainz A New Era. I did this back before I fixed up the computer. But all of the track, apparently that specific kind of track that I used for the main line, doesn't exist in the newer version of the game. So, like, the buildings and stuff were there, but all the track was... So I would have had to lay all the track again from scratch, and I was like, oh boy. I think it looked better. It wasn't an amazing difference, though, I think. I don't remember now. It was a while. It was like a year ago when I tried that. That's a 280 consolidation. Yeah, ONW had a bunch of those. No, nobody's talking about it. And this is one of the more popular steam engines that ONW ran. The 482 Mountains. They had a nice sized fleet of those. It was basically a copy of the New York Central Mohawk locomotives. Same wheel arrangement, the 482. New York Central wouldn't call them mountains because the New York Central was all flat ground, so they felt funny calling their engine mountains, so they called it Mohawk instead. None of the ONW steamers are still around. None of them were preserved. New York Central, none of the Niagaras got saved. I think there is one Mohawk that got saved. I think it's in St. Louis Transport Museum. Not sure. This one is a 210-2. I do believe the ONW called it a bull moose. Because they had a lot of coal to move and mountains to climb over. So they got a bunch of these 210-2s, but they never really worked out too good on the road. They used them mostly as shove units, like pushers in the ends of the trains. And they didn't ride well, and they derailed really easily. So actually, like some of these locomotives, they only lasted 5-10 years on the railroad before they scrapped them. I think, if I remember correctly from what I read on that. I think the ONW version of this engine never had this little doghouse, but that's basically for the brakeman to sit in way back in the day. They could sit there and look backwards and maybe give hand signals to the engineer and stuff like that. I think. I'm not too sure about that, but I know that's not a thing. That wasn't a thing on the ONW locomotives, but somebody took this model and just reskinned it for ONW. It's called the Tender Doghouse, probably. Why doesn't this engine have a tender? I'll have to find the tender for this one. It's a 460 10-wheeler, which ONW had a bunch of. Let's see if I can find it. I think I reskinned this myself. I didn't really have to paint anything. I just relettered it for ONW. ONW. Oh, it might use a tender from a different locomotive, probably. There's the 10-wheeler. That's the engine. Where is the tender that goes with it? That's Susquehanna. Did you forget what I searched for? Oh, I remember now. I have to search up here if I want it to stick. New York ONW. Tender type 1. Sure if that one's working. It should have a tender. Maybe it uses the eye. No, that's too dark. There should be. It looks like it should be kind of grayish. Sorry. This is bugging me now. It's just hoppers, right? see if this works. Nope. That doesn't work. That does. That's the tender that goes with the big one. Huh. 460 10-wheeler. It's the engine. Oh, I don't know. I don't want to waste a lot of time looking for this right now. Huh. Where's the freaking tender? I mean, I could use one of the tenders from one of the other engines, but it's gonna be like a nicer, like clean black like that. And this engine is actually kind of grayish. I'll have to look through the files some other time and figure it out. What if I look up 460? Maybe I'll at least figure out what the tender is that I need to reskin. There it is. That's the one that matches, but it's near central. It's wait. There's the locomotive. There's the locomotive again. Weird. Tender. At least I know. No, it's New York Central 460 tender 805. That's what I have to reskin for O&W. Must have lost it somehow. You know what? Let me real quick. Let me first off, real quick, just in case I open the wrong thing. This is display capture I'm using right now, so if I open something that I don't want you to see, I don't want you to see it. Okay. Just write down New York Central 460 tender 805 805. Okay. Now I know that's the one I have to reskin because I lost the original O&W skin for some reason. Yeah, the WordPad document or Notepad document that I was writing in, I didn't know if there was going to be any like passwords or something like that on it because I'm bad. I like write everything on the same stupid Notepad document. So just to be careful. I don't think there would have been anything that you would have seen bad, but just in case. Okay, so there's the coal dock. This is the track that you put in the coal cars to load it with, and then you can load all the engines on any of these tracks. And then this is water. These theoretically have pipes leading back to this water tower here. So yeah. Okay. Spent enough time putzing around in Middletown, I think. Pretty proud of it, though. Came out pretty good. I should really put in another module here, just like land or something, because, you know, it's just nothingness. Okay, let's get out of Middletown. Heading north. This is going to go a lot quicker now, because that's where most of the detail was. Yep, sometime. Okay, here, this area here is known to the local railroaders as 4-story. Nowadays, the only thing that's left is this double track main here. That's the Graham line. Actually, I think it's only a single track here. That's the Graham line, the Erie Graham line. And this track is very busy because it's Norfolk Southern and it's Metro North for passengers, and sometimes M&J comes through here. So yeah, it's busy. And this little branch here is really all this I guess this would be called Crawford Branch, which would be the branch coming down in Middletown. That's what Norfolk Southern calls it anyway. But this is all that's left. This double track main crossing over doesn't exist anymore. But if you walk here, you can park like here and walk up here a little bit. The concrete abutments of this bridge are still there. Just the bridge itself is gone because they wanted to get rid of it to have more height clearance, and there's never going to be rails over it again anyway. So. And here we go on the main. See, now we're kind of out in the wilderness again. So hopefully this will go a little bit quicker now. Let's see. This, I say that, and then just in case there's locals still watching. Okay, yeah, that's this is what's the name of this road? Mud Mills Road. And there's still a crossing there with crossbucks and the gates. And this would be County Route 302 or Rural Route 302, not really county, oh, whatever. This line goes, this road goes from Middletown up to Pine Bush, basically. Back here, just off the screen here, there used to be, well, the house is still there, but my grandparents used to own a house there that we rented out. But my grandma didn't want to have to deal with renting out the house anymore. Apartments, 2 apartments. And so she sold it, which really sucked because that would have been good income if we still owned it. Actually, this is the Crawford branch. This is the Erie Crawford branch. This line here going up this way. This is like a really low wetlands area, which I kind of tried to paint in a different color to signify, yeah, this is like a swamp. But, yeah. But anyway, this branch here, Crawford branch, went up to Pine Bush, same place that road goes to. And that branch, you know, O&W was abandoned by 57, but this little branch here, Erie kept up running until late 70s, maybe even into the 80s, when it was Conrail, and then they gave it up because there was only a couple of customers along that line, and the rails were really rough shape. You know, it needed probably millions of dollars of work to fix it up, so they just abandoned it all, unfortunately. But that lasted a lot longer than the O&W, though. And this is 17M. We're heading towards Bloomingburg area now. This is Fair Oaks. Oh, you know what? I gotta build Fair Oaks Station. It's another slight variation of the other stations that I've already built. Hi there, Lucy. How you doing? RRR. Showing off what I've built in Trainz 12 over the years. I'm surprised I didn't put in a Fair Oaks Station because it's pretty much just a copy of either Mechanicstown or Meadowbrook, one of those. Oh, you know, I bet I never did it because I couldn't find a picture of Fair Oaks Station. So I'm just gonna have to guess, because it was too small of a station stop. For, you know, this was a very small little station stop. There's Milk Station here with the siding for it. And so not sure what this is, but let's see if I can remember. That was 17M. This is actually that was Fair Oaks Road. This is 17M going up to Bloomingburg. This is M&M Road. Yeah, that's the name of the road, M&M. M plus M. And this is I could probably, if I use the right tool, I could click on these to see the labels. Oh, I put in some wigwags here. This is, I don't remember what the name of this road is. I don't think it's Prosperous Valley. Yeah, doesn't matter. And this road is actually still a dirt road. Boac or something like that. Something with a B. This is Prosperous Valley Road, I think. Maybe Hidden Valley Road. I think this is Hidden Valley Road, and the next one is Prosperous Valley Road here. I think. Not sure. But anyway, we're getting towards, well, Bloomingburg would be over here-ish. But ONW didn't quite go to Bloomingburg. They went to what they called Highview, which is basically just part of Bloomingburg nowadays. People don't distinguish it as Highview. But there was a little station for Winterton. And Winterton really was just a stop on the railroad. It was never a town. Winterton. I made this little station. This is Winterton Road, and this way would take you into Bloomingburg. Yeah, I'm gonna do that after I'm done finally showing it off. I think I'm just gonna grab a train from Cornwall and just run it all the way up to the end, just for the hell of it. It doesn't look nearly as good from in the train as it does looking over like this, because I haven't really done any scenery yet. I've done terrain, landscaping, lots of landscaping. Like, we're getting into the mountains now, so it's getting really crazy with the terrain. But I haven't done like scenery, just some buildings here and there and stuff like that. So like just adding like tree lines and stuff would make a big difference. But I don't know. I just haven't gotten around to that yet. Now we're climbing the Schwanguk mountain range now. This is where the line gets pretty steep. Actually, I made it a little too gentle. It should have been steeper. But this here is Highview. This is Highview Station, which I built in SketchUp. This might have been, I think I said the Erie Middletown station was the most complicated. This was close because you had to make all these curves. Maybe it wasn't too bad, I don't remember. But Highview Station, let's see. You know, if I was smart, I would just search for Highview Station instead of, well, sometimes here's a picture of Highview Station before somebody bought it and fixed it up into a house and actually added onto it a little bit. But this is Highview Station. Pretty neat, really. Kind of very different than all the other ONW stations too. They had a few stations like this that were made out of like stucco and stuff, with the tile roof. Here's another picture of it. There it is back when it was still a railroad. Oh, there's one of the sketches of what somebody wanted to do with the old Middletown station. See, like, build it all and just lower this tower by like a floor because of the fire damage. I don't know. That was back when the health clinic was going to rebuild the station, but it never happened. There's Highview Tunnel. The first tunnel we're going to see, well, the only tunnel so far that I've made in the game. Pretty long tunnel too. I think about 1,000 feet or so, maybe 1,200 feet. Natural cut bore through a shale mountain, basically. They only lined with brick a little bit on the north end. The rest of it was just a natural cut bore, and because of that, a lot of times shale rocks and stuff would flake off the roof of the tunnel and fall down. And I think once a year they had to hire a crew to go through and dig out all of the shale that was piling up on the ground, like in between the tracks and on either side and stuff, because they were too cheap to ever line the tunnel. I guess they figured the rocks always fell in small pieces, so they didn't care. There's another picture of Highview. That's it. This was O&W's mascot they made for a little while. It was towards the end of the life of O&W, I think, trying to get customers. Yeah, they're thankful. O&W, get the pun? So that's that. High view, and there's a little engine house and turntable, which they did have here. But funnily enough, oh, I changed it. For a little while I had a diesel EMD NW2 stuck in here with an OMW livery, but it really didn't make any sense since the main theme of this railroad is like steam era. What did I stick in here? Oh, this is another 260. I really shouldn't have that many 260s on the line because O&W had very few of those. They had a lot more 10-wheelers, 460s. So here's the Highview Mountain. You can't really, you can only go inside it if you actually run a train through it. But it's a pre-made mountain spline thing. I didn't make that specifically. And I measured it out. I think I got the length of the tunnel pretty close to correct. This is 17M over here, by the way. And so it goes in there, and it makes a bit of a turn. It comes out all the way over here, and yes, the tunnel is that freaking long. That's part of the reason why O&W went out of business, because they had a lot of tunnels and bridges. A lot of tunnels and bridges. That was a pretty long tunnel. So I added like some vegetation and stuff to this end. I couldn't find a way to make a tunnel that was like natural cut. You know, if the other end had a nice portal like that, but the original tunnel actually does not have a nice, it never did have a nice portal like that. It was just a rough cut through the shale. Let's see. I might have a picture. I actually drove a while ago. We drove up and down between here and Liberty, trying to take pictures of the O&W. Oh, stations. Oh, those are different. That's the other line. So I took pictures, I think. And it's really cool that when you drive up here, this is just north of Bloomingburg, and you're not really expecting to find anything. Let me go back to the south portal. Like this road is 17M, and you can branch off here. You're not really expecting to find anything, but then you do. Actually, I don't have that many pictures. I don't know the pictures I have. I went one time when it was more snowy, and one time when it wasn't. I wanted to go when it was more snowy because that's when all the vegetation is all dead, like the tree. You know, the trees all drop their leaves and everything, and it's a lot easier to see stuff. Here we go. So this is a pretty relatively modern picture of the Highview station. What you can see from the road, because it's a private house. I can't go up the driveway and take pictures of it. It's a private house now. So that's what it looks like nowadays. Pretty nice. They actually added another floor on the other end. But it looks like part of the original house. The original station, I should say. They did it really. Now the next picture, there's the tunnel. That's what it looks like, pretty much modern day. And that's what it always looked like. It never had any fancy brickwork on the outside or anything, really. It was just a natural cut door right through the mountain. And when you first drive up that little side road and not expecting to see anything, you look to your left and you see the end of the station, and then you drive around a little bend, and then you see that. it gives you a little shock. Yeah, the tunnel's still there. It's probably collapsed in the center somewhere, from what I've heard. That's what people think, and it's full of a lot of water. Like 4+ feet of water. So it's very dangerous. You can't just try to walk through with flashlights and walk through the tunnel. No, people actually died in this tunnel trying to walk through it. because it's got so much water. I think they probably drowned. And actually, the other end of the tunnel, which I don't have a picture of, is this House Turnpike. That was the road name I was looking for. Oh, that's going to be next Mammocating. Spoilers. The north end of the tunnel. This is the south end with Highview Station. The north end of the tunnel, up here, is kind of in the middle of nowhere. The only way to get to it, actually what I didn't put here, because back in these days the highway didn't exist yet, but Highway 17 divided, like big divided highway, well actually now I think it's finally technically Interstate 86. Crosses right over here. Actually, when you're up on the highway, you can kind of see the low dip in the ground of where the railroad used to be here. You can't see the end of the tunnel or anything like that, but you can see where maybe a railroad used to run. But of course, you're driving up the highway at 55 miles an hour, so it's kind of tough to do. But actually, employees of the highway maintenance people were worried about the condition of the tunnel, and they didn't know how to get to the end of the tunnel, like almost like they didn't realize it used to be a railroad, so you would just find the other end of the railroad and walk up to it. So they rappelled with rope down from the highway up here. They rappelled down the cliffside so that they could look in the end of the tunnel and look at the condition of it. They didn't go way into the tunnel, they just wanted to see like the end and stuff, because the highway runs like right here. And this end, the north end, there actually was a nice brickwork portal. But unfortunately, sometime after reports of some, I don't know the details, but somebody went in this tunnel and drowned in the water. After that, the owner of the land here came over with like a backhoe or something and tore down the end of the portal, because he tried to like block off the end of the tunnel so that nobody else could get in it, I guess, which is terrible because he tore up all the nice stonework, and he didn't really accomplish blocking it off. The only thing he did was dam up more water inside the tunnel. So now instead of the tunnel being full of 2 to 4 feet of water, it was full of 6 to 8 feet of water. So then the highway commission eventually, I guess they've got the rights, they brought in some machines and they opened it up, dewatering the tunnel, they called it. They opened up the end so that the water could flow out, because if the tunnel's full of more water, then it's just going to deteriorate and collapse faster. Yeah, potential wildlife in that tunnel too. Yeah, that would be bad too. So anyway, keep going north. This is 17M. Nowadays, this bridge is long gone, but one of the abutments you can still see. I didn't take a picture of that. Now you can't really take a picture of that. You're too busy driving. But then there's this little dead-end road. Nowadays it's called VFW Road, because here, this is Mammocating Station on the ONW. I made this in Google SketchUp too. And nowadays this still exists as a VFW post. I don't know how much they really use the building, but it still exists for the most part. This area, there's no like nice platform roof anymore. And over here, I think they added like a cinder block addition area that looks terrible. But this is the real station here. This is a picture I took myself when we drove the line a while ago. Well, drove up to random points of interest, basically. Do I have any other? There's the side of the station. I use these a lot to reference building my station in SketchUp. You can kind of see over here, that's the big concrete patio area that used to have a little roof over it. This is that ugly, like, concrete extension, the cinder block. I didn't put that in because it looks ridiculous. Oh, it's like a garage door there. That's weird. I don't know how you would get anything in and out of there. Maybe like ATVs. Oh, there's the line. They do run like ATVs and stuff up and down this line a bit. And there, look, I dug through the snow and I found a freaking railroad tie. I was so happy when I found that. 1957, the line was ripped up. There's still a freaking railroad tie in the ground. Okay, that's not there yet. Nope. I was like, oh my god, I found a tie. Ha! Proof! This was a railroad. So that's mammocating. Mammocking, I never really knew how to pronounce this, actually. Kind of cool that both stations on either end of the tunnel still exist. There's not many O&W stations that still exist, but those two do, and they're in pretty good shape. This one, I have a feeling this one's maybe not in too great a shape anymore. I think it's kind of been abandoned. I don't know. Okay, and here is about where I gave up on painting, because I was still working on the terrain, because now that tunnel was the peak of the mountain, right? So now we're working our way back down the mountain. And the percentage of the slopes, I think, only gets up to like 2.5, maybe one little section of 3%. I should have made it a bit steeper because this was really steep. This is where they had to use those big pusher engines to get the coal up the mountain, basically. And here you can see this is where I stopped working on the line. I think I'm pretty much down to the level that I want to get to. I don't know if the track's really quite there yet, but we're almost at Summitville here. In Summitville, there's going to be a big Y and another branch, also O&W, but way back in the early days it was independent, and then O&W bought the branch. But there's a branch that goes down to Port Jervis, and there's a branch that goes up to Kingston. It's called the Port Jervis Kingston branch, and it basically runs along the D&H Canal, Delaware and Hudson Canal. And the funny thing is, the town is called Summitville because it was the highest point of the canal, but the railroad that crossed it and then ran alongside the canal, it's actually the lowest point of the railroad because we just came down off a mountain to cross the canal, and then right after Summitville, the railroad starts climbing up another mountain. It doesn't stop after that. It keeps climbing and climbing. O&W is very mountainous. And I'm only just starting to get into all the mountains, really. So that's where I ended. Okay. It took me forever, but I finally went through the whole overview of the whole thing. Wow, I didn't think that was going to take so long, but I did really want to get a nice detailed overview of this because I've never really recorded anything like that. I've just like put up pictures sometimes and whatnot. Let me just go back to Middletown, I guess. For now. So that's that. That's how much work I've done on this. And that much work took me, well, Sturgey asked me before, I said, I'd love to know when I first started building this. I don't even remember. It was a while ago. Like, before today, I haven't fired up this game. I fired it up once after I fixed up the computer, just to make sure I transferred the files right and I still had everything. But as far as working on the map or playing the game at all, I haven't done anything with this game in at least a year, probably a year and a half. And then when I started this, oh boy. I'm gonna say I've been working on this on and off for, I'm gonna guess, 5 to 6 years, maybe, right? Because it's 2021 now. 2012 is 9 years ago. I know I didn't buy this game when it was brand new, though. that's pretty much all I've done with this game, actually. As far as like playing on pre-made scenarios or anything, I've never really done that. For some reason, I never really wanted to do that so much. It was all about trying to build the OW for me. Let me save, because I did fiddle with a couple of little things. I'm just going to keep it New York OW. I can't overwrite exist. Listen, I didn't change anything with the session. Overwrite existing route. And can I overwrite them? Whatever. I didn't do anything session-wise. Yes. Yeah, I did a lot of laying tracks and making buildings, yeah. And that's also, a lot of the work was making the buildings in Google SketchUp. That's a lot, that's kind of fun, though. Kind of annoying, too, because you're trying to get all the really fancy details and whatnot, but it's satisfying. Okay. Now, we're going to... I gotta remember how to play this freaking game. Quick drive? Listen, I just saved. Please. Can I just exit surveyor? Don't save, I just saved. Okay. Oh, first, while I'm still looking at stuff, I can show you the pre-made modules that somebody else made. This is Cornwall. I don't know if you remember what Cornwall looked like on my map by now. That was a while ago. Yeah, I'm going to run a steam train. I don't think I'm going to run it in complicated controls because I never have in this game. I'll keep it on the simple controls, which is basically like just running a train set. It's nowhere near as complicated as Derail Valley when you do it that way. But yeah. Okay, this is the Cornwall module that somebody else made that I found on the content creator, but not the content manager, but not until after I built mine. See, he made these docks really long, probably a little too long, and he put in like a double track and then with little sidings in the middle and stuff. And I think that's a bit more accurate because then they could put some cars here, and shuffle them around and stuff. As opposed to mine where it's just one line going up the middle, so you have to run the train from all the way back in the yard. But, you know. And I think the scaling is much better here. It's much bigger than mine. And there's actually a lot of tracks. This is the West Shore line. I didn't think there'd be this many tracks alongside the West Shore line, but it does make sense. West Shore line was New York Central, was very big. Oh, there's like a siding here. That's neat. Terrain is relatively flattish, and in real life around here, this is Shore Road, and not too far to the left here from Shore Road, the landscape is very steep. It's almost cliff-like. So, I got the landscaping a little bit, but I was trying to build the whole line. He was just specifically building this section, see? Got the turntable in the right place. There's the water tower way back here by the turntable. I don't know how. That could be right. And then, there's not a whole lot of documentation on this yard. And that connects up with the West Shore line tracks. That's interesting. So this is all like coal tracks. And so yeah, this is a much bigger yard than the yard that I made. It's got a little station house here. This is the West Shore line. Oh, I put a big house there. And there was a big interlocking tower somewhere because the O&W tracks had to cross over the West Shore line to get onto their own main. Okay, now here's something really funny. Yeah, he didn't do that quite right. The Cornwall yard, he's got it all branching off of the West Shore line here. But how do you get from the O&W West Shore line onto the O&W main, which is this line up here? it should line up, I would think. You would cross almost like diamonds. I don't think if you were taking a train out of the yard here, I don't think you had to come forward out of the yard and then back up in order to switch over to the O&W main. But maybe you did. I don't know. There's not a whole lot of documentation on this, is the thing. Just look real quick at my Trainz folder again. I don't remember if I had a map of Cornwall Yard or not. I don't think I did. I didn't have much to go by for that. That's the wrong folder. Just real quick, I'm already wasting a lot of time. Wondering if I had like some kind of like little overview map of Cornwall. That's another thing I lost with that frickin' book. Oh, here's Highview Tunnel, by the way, in a satellite shot looking down on it. Looks so cool. Well after abandonment. This is relatively modern. Oh, there's Highview Station down here. So they added the second floor to this part here. They made it a house. But when you come up this little road here, and you find the station here to take pictures of it, and then you come around this little bend and you see that freaking tunnel just staring at you. It's a pretty neat experience the first time. Just to see it there. Yeah, I don't. Wait a minute. What's this? Oh, that's That's Campbell Hall. That's Campbell Hall. I need a map like that for Cornwall, and I really need one for Summitville. That's the next area that I'm getting into. Oh, there's the north portal of the Highview Tunnel. The tracks were all ripped up and stuff, but it's before the guy came by and tore it all down trying to block it off. He had good intentions, but he didn't really know what he was doing, I guess. You would have had to put if you want to block off the end, you got to put in a pipe so the water still flows out. That's the thing. There's a picture of the O&W Mountaineer. You've seen that in Derail Valley. Kind of. Yeah, I don't see a layout map for Cornwall. I don't want to spend a lot of time going through that right now. So, yeah. Okay. This is my favorite remix of this song, by the way. Okay, so that's the Cornwall module that somebody else made. It's nice. I think it's probably more accurate than mine, but I already built mine first, so before I found this. I didn't really build it first, but before I found this, I built mine, so it's what it is. Yep, Robbie Run. Such a huge beam. Cadosia. I'm not going to show you Cadosia right now. I think the same guy made Campbell Hall and Cadosia in Cornwall. Okay. Back to menu. Okay, now instead of how do I actually play the game? Select route, I guess. Oh, it was the same screen. So the newest version of this is Highview Mountain, not the autosave. Just Highview Mountain. Wait, can you only edit route? Can't you play the route? Oh, view sessions. I think I just want a quick drive. I don't think there's really any actual sessions I didn't really know. I never really learned how to make sessions. Like, you know, um, objectives for people to do and stuff. Oh, Trainz 22 is in beta? See, Trainz doesn't come up with as many games as you know, Dovetail and stuff. I think the newest one is still what's it called? I mentioned it before. But it's not that new anymore. Yeah, here we go. I think I'm gonna keep it on easy mode, because I don't want to spend a while trying to figure out realistic mode. I mean, I'm sure it's probably, since I've been playing Derail Valley so much, I think it would be fine. But, whatever. I don't want to waste time on that, basically. Oh, I gotta remember how to control this game. Actually, now that I'm done showing off pictures and stuff, let me get rid of the display capture and go back to game capture. That's a little bit better, I think. Alright. Now, how do I'm like stuck on controlling this engine or something now. How do I get out of that? Oh, no. Cancel. Okay, escape is not the way. That's the camelback. How do I just not control anything right now? I want free cam. I don't remember. I'm like right clicking around, but I'm still like stuck. Yeah, I must be stuck on the camelback. I don't want to be in Middletown really. I want to be down in Cornwall, I think. Camera view models? Oh, camera view, yeah, free roaming. Thank you. There we go. Do believe I can hit M and get the map, yep. Okay. Which way's north? I want to go down to Cornwall. We're just gonna run a full run from Cornwall all the way up to the end. I did put in speed limit signs and semaphore signals, I do believe. It was just a lot of work here and there. You know, I would go through fits where I would work on it a lot and then I wouldn't touch it for a long time, and then I would work on it a lot and then I wouldn't touch it for a long time, that kind of thing. We're not in free cam anymore. Please. We're not in quick drive anymore. What? Free roaming. I think what we're gonna do, as much as I would like hauling loaded coal hoppers all the way up the mountain, the coal always gets dumped here. So I need to be hauling either empty coal hoppers, which is, there's a string here. Maybe I'll take one of these strings and back it up the dock, empty it out, hook it up to this string, which already has a caboose on the end of it for some reason. And then we'll take this out on the main line and run all the way up. It's going to be empties, but there's a lot of empties at least, so that, you know, it's got some weight to it. See, I made it so that you could get from the yard right to the main line, crossing over the west shore like that. I don't know which one is more accurate, mine or the other guys, but that's how I made mine. You see, I made my yard too small, though, compared to the way he made his. But this is also where I first started ever making a map in this game, too, so I was just learning. So if we're going to do all those coal hoppers now, in real life on the O&W, these big 210Os, they only ran these on the steep mountain parts of the line, basically mostly as push units on the backs of the trains to help push them up the hill. But this is a game and not real life, so I might just run a mainline train from here with this locomotive. Do I have a Class Y mountain class, though? Because since they're empties, I could probably do it with one of those. I could always spawn one in. One over here, it's attached to a passenger train, but there's one over here. Could just run the passenger train, I guess. These passenger cars, they're nice, but they're laughably generic. Like, look at this font. Passenger cars from like the 40s ever had a font like that on them. But hey, until I make something myself, that's what we got. This is a Class Y. Like a remaster of our truck too. That'd be awesome, actually. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave these passenger cars here, and I'm gonna steal this locomotive. We're just doing quick drive for funsies anyway. Okay, so now we're locked into this one. Need to uncouple. I have to remember how to actually play this game. I'm moving the window a little bit. Bottom edge was cut off a little bit. There's uncouple. Did it work? I think it did. Okay. Next step, I gotta figure out how to actually control the locomotive. W. Hey! There we go. Wow, this thing's pretty slow. Certainly. How do I know? If I need coal or water? I'm sure I don't. How would I know? There's the bell. Alright, you can click and drag the I think I'm using W and S. Oh, S is stop. W. X. W and X. Okay. Sorry for stopping. I know I don't need coal and water, but it'd be nice if I knew how to check. Hold control. Okay. Hey, Andrew. Kind of apropos. Oh, coal. Oh, almost full. Water almost full. Okay. Yeah, you probably don't need to worry about coal and water. It's simple. Yeah, there's a lot of smoke for 3 miles. You got that right? Oh god, I'm hitting derail valley buttons. B for fuel. There's a button. Hey, there's inside the cab. It's 1. Neat. So if I was in complicated controls, I would be actually clicking stuff and whatnot, but I'm not going to try to do that. I'm letting the computer do it. Look, there's my fireman. He's got a very easy job for some reason. Shovel the coal. This engine should be... I remember now, this engine should be kind of fast, and for some reason, it's not. Oh god. Hey, guess what? The The switches are not spring switches, I think, in this game. Well, I understand that it derailed probably because the switch wasn't thrown right. I'm guessing. That was a little extreme. Okay, how do we... Okay. How do we re-rail? Oh god, I haven't played this game in so long. I think if I remember correctly, the engines, they might still be there with the X's over the... Yeah, but they don't actually exist. Yeah, that's what I thought. Alright, spawn in a new one. Yeah, I really don't remember how to play this game at all. I think I know how to spawn in a new train at least. I think I remember how to spawn in a new train. Maybe not. Drivers. Oh. Okay, no, I don't remember how to. Oh boy. Exit driver, yeah. No, don't save. I guess that's it then. Oh man, I don't remember how to play this game at all. Although my next question is going to be, why the hell was the mainline switch not switched right? Red Bear, the editor from how many years ago, didn't have that switch right. That was the mainline. Oh, here's a new train. There must have been a way to do that. We're in quick drive, aren't we? Nope. Okay, the answer is never the escape button. Let us throw the switch correctly. Okay, we need to go this way. Actually, oh, we need to get over on the other track. Can I? Ultimately, I have to zigzag. Oh, I can go up this way, right? Okay, court. W main. There we go. Right, with double tracking, you're supposed to really drive on the left, aren't you? Yeah, because the engineer's on the right. Yeah, maybe that's probably a better idea since I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, let's do that. Scissors, you have a good idea. Let's just take the passenger train. I gotta mess around with this game on my own time. I remember how to play it eventually. So that's switched that way, that's switched that way, that's switched that way, that's switched that way. Okay, we should be good. Alright, we won't uncouple this time, we'll just drive the passenger train. I'll probably stay in the outside view so I can see things better. Oh god. Why is S? Oh, S for stop? Really? Oh, we're getting water now? I hit S by mistake, which stopped the engine, but I guess we're getting water now. Okay. Are we done? Okay. That was on purpose. I wanted to get water. Okay, you can kind of hold the button and get a longer whistle. Yep, you are director music. Also, it's kind of late to ask now, but can you hear the game? Like the engine's chugging and I blew the whistle a couple of times. It might be too quiet. Although, in fairness, until now it didn't matter if you could hear the game or not, because I was just... Okay, good. Because I was just looking around at different stuff in the editor. This engine should be... This is a mountain class. It should be relatively quick. For some reason, I think it's not that quick. I think I remember when I wanted to really zip around, I used the little Camelback. That little 060 Camelback was pretty quick. Which was a little funny. There's no speed to it. What happened? That switch was thrown right, wasn't it? Oh. Thank you, Sturgy. Wait a minute. I'm confused on how these work now. And of course, you can't actually see the points. I think that was right. I'm almost wondering if there's something wrong with it. With the switch. Red is curved. Please, I don't want to be inside the engine. I know that it's dead. But, like the flag, see, if you're looking at the flag, red would be curved and this way would be straight. I think I had this right. This one needs to be... That one needs to go that way. How can you tell which way it's actually turned? That's a red light either way. So they should all be green, you think? No, but those are all giving me red flags, though. That's... So these switch stands are backwards. Maybe I put these on switch stands on wrong. Alright, now we're gonna spawn the engine in. I know there's gotta be a way. Messages available. Oh, there. Quick train. New train. I'm gonna stick with that locomotive unless maybe... Maybe I go with a 10-wheeler. That would make... I don't want a pre-made consist. A new train from the consist list. Surveyor. Well, there's a 280. What's this? Red doesn't know what he's doing. Here? Oh, what is that little one? Oh, jeez. That's a little 440. That's Waco Midland. He's facing the wrong way. There we go. Screw it. This should be actually a little 440. Okay. So green, the way that I want to go. Interesting. Okay. Green. Wait a minute. Oh, now see, these lights work, right? See, put this here, and it says red stop. I'm not sure why it says red stop, though. Oh, okay. Green that way, green that. I think I'm getting this. Green this way, green that way. That should be set. Yeah. This should not be this complicated. I am gonna back up and grab those passenger cars. We're not gonna just run light. I'm bound and determined to actually run some kind of train. Looks like on the inside. Oh, neat. Cool. I guess, see, I'm trying to start with the throttle slower and then slowly bring it up. Wait, what? I had a green light. Oh, no, that means I can't turn it yet because I'm too close to it. Okay. I was gonna say. But anyway, I was bringing up the throttle slowly, but this is like running a train set. It doesn't matter. You can bring it up as fast as you want and just let the AI do what he's doing. But I am gonna back. Now, that way. Right? No, I didn't have to throw that one. It was already straight. I'm stuck. I need to... Pretty sure there's a better way to do this, but... It's my faster train. There it is. It's probably a map view to switch the switches with, isn't there? That's my 3 tooths. Those are big passenger train cars for this section. I think it's probably automatically couples. Yeah. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Take that one car off the end. The yard guys will come by and deal with that. Why the camera is so weird. When I hit right click, sometimes it just like locks into certain angles. So I can see like some speed bump signs, maybe. Actually, no, I put it. Yeah, there's 20, so 15 to 20. Really? No, 40. Okay. Didn't go up. The limit still says 20 up there at the top. No, it says 40. Maybe the whole train has to be past the sign. You know? I guess that would make sense. Now 55. I guess that makes sense. Of course, this thing's probably never going to do any faster than, what do you think, 35? 40? We're talking about a 440. Oh, maybe faster, actually. But we've got some climbing to do. I'm just going to open her up. I'm still thinking that if I open the throttle too fast, I'll slip the wheels or something, but it's in simple mode, it doesn't matter. You're just setting the speed that you want to go at, basically. So here you can see the trees that I actually put in. That's about the end of scenery for me, though. Oh guys, by the way, I don't remember if I mentioned it yesterday, but I did add a sound alert that you can use with just channel points. Now if I hit map, I guess I can zoom in on this and throw
Hello
switches. There you go. Was that loud enough? Could anybody hear it? That looks good. Oh god, why am I not in my train anymore? Yes, scissors, you're right, there's no speedometer, is there? I guess with this little engine they figured you'd never go fast enough to need it. We're picking up speed though, we're doing 32, yeah? That's something. good? Okay. It sounded a little quiet to me, but it doesn't mean it was quiet to you guys. There's First Cliff Factory. Why does the camera, whenever I hit right click, it jumps? New York Midland Road. Did I reskin this? I don't remember. I might have. For Oswego Midland. That's what O&W was before O&W was Oswego Midland. That's what it started out as. 1860 something. Okay, 2 green lights there, so that's good. 40. We're fine, we're only doing 32. Not a whole lot of scenery yet, but I did a lot of terrain work. A lot of terrain work, actually. You think about it. I'm at max throttle now? Yes, I am. No, I'm hitting the wrong button. Ah, okay. I wasn't at max throttle. I don't know if she's really going to go much faster anyway, not until we flatten out. We'll be flattening out at the trestle. Okay. That's good. That's good. That's good. 2 green lights. 2 green lights. Okay. There's First Cliff. Should have done that a little sooner. Speeding. Once we got up the hill. Now it's back up to 55. Lost a lot of speed just by knocking the throttle down a couple notches. Interesting. Back to double track. Gotta either put in a lot of scenery or add another section of land in places like that. Probably just some thick tree line or something so that you can't see what the edge of the map is there. Someday. I don't know if I'm really gonna get back to actually playing this game much. I just really wanted to show off the map and stuff. Okay, now we're at max throttle. Slow down a little bit for Meadowbrook coming up. Not Meadowbrook, what is that? That's, that is Meadowbrook. One little click down is all it took to slow down to 41. It's probably going to be a 40. 41's okay. Two greens. Yep. Oh, you know what, with these semaphores, they got green, yellow, and red lights, but the actual semaphore doesn't move. You know, it should be slightly angled down for yellow and all the way down for green. All the way up should be red. Not a brook. I remember that now, thinking that that was really silly, those semaphores. And of course, and I think they were listed as like O&W semaphores or something. That's why I picked them out. But then I realized after I already set them up, I was like, oh darn, they don't move. Not a whole lot to look at right here, except the terrain. The terrain came out alright. Not really smoothed over, probably enough, but not too bad. And there's that Erie train over there in the background, just posing. That'd be the Erie Graham line. The only line that's left. I think just south of where that Erie train is parked, would have been the Moodna Viaduct, which still exists and is very busy with train traffic right now. Big high viaduct over a valley, Moodna Valley. Really pretty, actually. Hey, look at that, I actually whistled for a crossing. Yeah, that doesn't look good. Work in progress. Maybe in Middletown I'll switch locomotives now that I've got a better idea for how the switches work. Yeah, right, could you imagine? I don't think anybody's computer would ever be able to handle it. I didn't blow the whistle. I don't think there'd be any computer able to handle it. Although, I'm not sure how like spawning and stuff works in this game. Those are green lights. But if it would be like, say, Minecraft, where the only chunk or area loaded is the area that you're in, then theoretically you could do that. But I'm pretty sure Trainz Simulator doesn't work like that. The whistle post. Yep, we're maxed out at 44, so I didn't even have to slow down. Why does the camera keep snapping over? It's actually really annoying. Oh damn, it's 6:30 already. Time flies. Tell you, for a little 440 from like the 1870s or whatever, this thing's doing pretty good. 44 is not that bad. There. river or creek, whatever you want to call it, took a lot of work. If I remember correctly, the physics of, well, it's not even really physics, but the way it works with like painting on the water and then setting the level of it is really, really annoying. I gotta see it someday. Yeah, Unstoppable. It's kind of sad that I'm so big into railroads and stuff and I haven't seen that movie yet. I think I know the true story that it's based off of. If it's the Crazy Eights, I think that's what it's based off of. But, you know, it's very over dramatized, but it's a movie, it's gotta be. Crazy Eights, yeah. I think that was a CSX train that ran away. I don't remember if that locomotive still exists or not. I think it was just taken out of service recently. You know, there's a bunch of rail fans that want to preserve it, but it's just like a very generic diesel engine, I think, so probably won't happen. Double greens. Don't think I have anything to worry about. Speed limit's probably going to go down to 45, but we're doing 44. Oh yeah, that's good. It's just deciding. Yeah, I guess in the beginning here, I was reading the switches as red would be the direction that it's turned, but it's really, it's green. Of course it's green. I guess I was looking at the switch stands too, which didn't really make any sense, so. Double greens, good. Remember, that was a lot of work just setting up these semaphore signals the first time and making them all work right. Yep, green means go. Yeah, that makes sense. Hey, it's Callie. Good, good, good. We're not gonna fly down the Borden siding. Good. It's creamery down there. Coming up on Campbell Hall. I think the only engine in Campbell Hall is the Camelback, so I think I'll stick with this one. Although the Camelback goes faster than this. I guess we can switch engines there. Oh, that's good. That switch spooked me for a second, but it's good. Yeah. Well, you know, in Derail Valley, it's kind of easy to imagine that because there's no other people in that game. There's road crossings, but there's never any road traffic. There's yeah, I read things on the Discord, and some people talk about stuff like that. They're like, they should add zombies or something. Oh God, no! Please don't add songs. But yeah, it's kind of funny how there's no other life forms really driving train for no reason. Yeah, hey, it's something to do. I don't remember the guy's name that was here yesterday. He was saying that the classified loads from the army base was probably like T-virus from Resident Evil. And that made sense. Let's slow down a little bit. I want to fly over to the other track so that I can stop Campbell Hollow and get the camel back. I think that's what we're going to do. Right. Yeah. So, hold up. Please, camera. Slowing down because I don't know if I'm gonna hit these switches good enough. I don't remember how the yard's laid out. There's a runaround here. It's the water track. I think that's good. That's not a dead end, right? No. Yeah, we'll park here. Everywhere else is irradiated. Yeah, that's a good idea. Oh, I'm still going too fast. Have you ever heard of the game called Oregon Trail? Instead of Oregon Trail, it's Oregon Trail. But that's kind of like the premise. It's like a zombie survival game, and the story is that there's nuclear bombs going off in different areas, and you have to keep driving and getting to safety. One of the two games that are like that got pretty popular. There's Oregon Trail like that, and then there's Death Road to Canada. Both pretty good games. Death Road Canada especially. I really like. I think a lot of it is just the music is so good. Both kind of retro pixel style games. There is another stub that I can park on. There. Oh, wrong way to go. I've got some cars here that you can switch out with Workin's Creamery just up the line. So I want to throw that switch back to the main just to be a nice guy. Should have done that as soon as I parked there, actually. Turn? No? Turn the turntable, please. Survivor on this. Yeah, not a bad premise at all. Okay, thank you for your service, 440. In case you're wondering what the inside of a Camelback looks like, there you go. Actually, this cab looks probably a bit bigger. Oh yeah, this cab is completely wrong. You know how I know? Look, the back is open. This is supposed to be a Camelback. In real, look, two. Oh, I'll go forward a bit so you can tell what I'm talking about. Thought this locomotive was kind of quick, but I don't remember now. See, the cab that we're in, the driver cab, straddles the boiler. So in reality, you just have a little window and you have a few basic controls, and to your left is the boiler. And to your right would be another little window and or boiler. But this is, let's just say, completely wrong. That's funny. They didn't model an inside view. It's still a neat little Camelback, and I think it's the only Camelback, unless You know, I didn't look for it in the content manager. I didn't think of it, but maybe there's another camera back by now. But I doubt it. This game's so old, you know. I'm just gonna be making more content. The speed limit here should really be 15, not 40, but okay. Whatever. Seems very quiet. Why is it so quiet? I want to throw this switch back. Sure. Trains and guns used. Yeah, that'd be cool. You're reminding me that I want to get back to Hard Truck Apocalypse someday. I want to see if I, first off, the ending of the first game, I want to see if I can catch that on stream, because the game kept crashing on me on stream, but then I played it afterwards off stream and I was able to get to it. And then there's the second game that I haven't bothered trying to stream yet. Rise of Clans. Yes. I gotta remember just open her up. This is 15. Any of these yard tracks should really be 15. And there's probably dinner, but I'm gonna wait a little while. I'm not gonna stop here. Oh, that was the wrong button. One of two people. Second patch of land so we can restart the world story. Yeah, not a bad idea. Let's see what this thing can do. If this proves to be slow too, then we'll get the Class Y at Middletown. Actually, maybe I'll stop at Middletown because it's kind of dinner time now. For branch coming in. Cool. Too late. I guess we're running on the right side. Forgot to fly back over to the left side. Oh well. I just noticed the speed limits here is kph, kilometers, not miles. So we're actually going pretty slow. Wait, was it kilometers with the little 440 too? I don't remember. It wasn't, right? It was miles before. Did I hit a button? Now it should be right up to 55 miles, which in kilometers is like 70 something. Let's see. 89. Open her up. All the way. This engine's so quiet. I haven't played this game, so I thought this engine was noisier than this before. I remember I thought it was kind of quick. I think we'll make it to Middletown and probably call it a stream then. After Middletown, though, really, the scenery isn't all that special. She's still gaining speed. Oh, there's the gates. It took a little too long to come down. Oh, we're at speed. Oh, don't slow down that much. I just went down one click, damn it. '88 and an '89, that'll work. Oh, that's the green line over there. Yeah. There's no more flyovers. There we go.
flying the train that much anyway. Since this is a little Camelback with a little slope back tender, it's supposed to be a switcher really. Actually surprised this engine goes this fast since it's a little switcher. We're gonna stop in Middletown. We're gonna stop in Middletown and get coal and water, I guess. Simulate being a little switcher. And then I think I'm gonna call it a stream. It is dinner time. Actually, I was trying to speed back up a little bit, but I really shouldn't because we're coming up on this big curve, I think. Yeah, should be a 30 zone, actually. That speed zone needs to start up a little bit sooner, because this is the curve. Okay, I slowed down a little too much. This curve, by the way, fun fact, was well known on the OWS. Poorhouse curve. Because am I at the house? Oh, I thought I put the house. Oh yeah, that house down there, the bottom of the hill, that was the poorhouse. So that's what they called it. Poorhouse curve. There's M&J. Back then, in these days, when O&W was around, it was M&U, Middletown and Unionville Railroad. The people running Middletown and Unionville Railroad, I think, back in the 60s, maybe? You know, after they lost some of their contracts and connections, they gave up running the engine and the railroad, and then a few farmers got together and bought the railroad and renamed it Middletown in New Jersey. 3 farmers, I think. It's just one crossing after another, which is the way it is in real life too. So where are we going? Slope down because this is getting tricky. Oh, I want to go. Too late. I was going to go over there to one of the station tracks. Oh well, we're on an express, I guess. For some reason, I was thinking the shops came before the station, but they don't. I'm not used to playing this game at all. Why does that gate not come down? Camelbacks exist for this big giant firebox back here. Basically, in those days, where if they wanted to burn anthracite coal, they had to lay it out real thin. Where am I going? I'm not gonna figure this out. I'm just gonna park here. I gotta stop to eat anyway. Next time we'll start a train here in the shops and keep going north, I guess, if I stream this again. But anyway, anthracite had to be spread out really thin to get a good even fire with it. That's hard coal. And back then, the only way to do that would be a nice big wide firebox like this, but the firebox was so big they couldn't fit a cab over it. They couldn't figure out how to fit a cab over it. Like the cab should have been back here, but it didn't work. So instead, they put the cab up here in the middle, over the boiler, and then you had the fireman back here under this little shelter shoveling the coal, and the engineer was up here in the cab. It was not a fun experience running a Camelback locomotive. It was extremely hot because you're freaking straddling that boiler. And the biggest safety problem with a Camelback, which is why they were outlawed from making them by like 1920 something, I think, is that the engineer and the fireman could not communicate with each other really. And even on some of the Camelbacks, there wasn't even an air dump valve back here or a throttle or anything like that. So if the engineer had a heart attack or something and passed out, the fireman was just along for the ride until they crashed. Because he couldn't control. Usually in a normal steam engine, if the engineer passes out, the fireman could jump over to the other side and close the throttle and hit the brakes, stuff like that. But you can't in a Camelback. Although a lot of the Camelbacks were retrofitted, I think, so that the fireman back here at least had an air dump valve, so you could dump the air, which throws the whole train into emergency brakes. But if you're running real fast at full throttle and you dump the air, that helps you slow down. I guess it helps you slow down enough for the fireman to jump off, maybe. But yeah. I think there might have been some kind of like tube system or pipe that they could try to talk to each other back and forth, like on a ship. If you watch like old ship movies or whatever, they yell at each other through this pipe system. But with the noise, all the noises that a steam engine makes, it probably didn't really work too well. But anywho, and this little Camelback is actually an 060, which would really be a switcher. I'm very surprised that it does like 55 miles an hour. That's way too fast. But anywho, it is 7 o'clock and it is dinner time. So I am going to check and see if anybody's streaming real quick that I know. Nope. Alright, so let me just switch to the end screen. Yep, I'm gonna stop streaming now. No, it was fun messing around with Trainz for a little while. I haven't played this game in a long time, which was very obvious. There we go. And yeah, I'll see you guys around. Oh, Lucy, you're still around. Yeah, it was fun showing it off, and I explained it all so that I can have the VOD and I'll put it on my YouTube. I might even try to put the VOD on my main YouTube channel. Just showing it off. I don't know. Anywho, I'll see you guys around. Later.